Oh, okay, you want it. I used to have the part.
Simon, is there another water bottle somewhere?
Realistically, when you're swimming back.
Do you know how many times I've dropped this in water?
Chaps, you'll have a chance to have a quick break in a second, so if we can consolidate what we've done out there as quickly as possible, then we'll have 15 minutes before we finish off with the workshop slides, which I'll be able to crash through for you. Are we missing anyone? Here we are, week 5. There's 2 just to come. Okay. Are we still a couple missing? Nope. No, we're all right, are we? Okay, first of all, terrific effort. You worked really hard out there. Some tackles flying as well. So no one can argue there weren't realism at all. Okay, so just before I started with you, I mentioned that my aims and objectives of that out there was to show you some different ways to intervene. Different ways to get messages across to players, and also think a little bit about sessions that can focus a little bit on player potential and how you might be able to tap into that as well. So, anyone want to start me off? What did you notice about the different types of interventions that I did out there? What different strategies did I use?
You had sort of whole group and you had team interventions.
Right. Okay. So, team. Objectives. Yeah. Anything else?
Individual objectives.
Individual objectives. Yeah. I'm going to put challenges down for that. How else do I intervene on occasions?
It's self-organisation. Self-organisation, one team would have to help the other team sort out themselves.
Yeah, so basically gave the players ownership. Try to. Anything else?
You asked us, what do you think we should do?
Right, so very, very much linked into that. Okay, very much linked into tapping into the knowledge that you already have. I did coach 1 or 2 individuals though. Can you think about how I managed those? That's on a one-to-one basis, yeah. So if you're the coach on the side of the game, okay, like we all were, and we're observing, okay, and you see something you feel you can go and affect, we feel that you can go and support the player, or you can go and help someone that's made an error. Okay? What types of interventions did I use for that?
It's like kind of drive-by, almost like drive-by. You just go across, have the word and keep going.
Okay, yeah, so I might whisper in their ear and have a chat with them. So that might be some verbal instruction. Where's my goalkeeper? What did I do with you, young man? Used you for a demonstration initially, yeah. So obviously, you know, that was right at the very beginning of the first practice, but also in the last practice. Do you remember a little bit of point I made to you? What was it about? Right, no, that was a team challenge. Can you remember? Can you remember?
Is it demonstrating how you position yourself?
Yeah, so that was the technical point that I made to this young man that I'd observed that he didn't do. Okay? So my intervention then was to go over to you and say, right, can you show me a better position to be able to receive the ball to play forwards? Remember? Yeah? So that was me intervening, but using a certain coaching style. What coaching style was that? Anyone pick that up?
Asking questions.
Asking question. A bit more than that though, wasn't I? Because I was asking for a question and an action. We call that guided discovery. Okay? So if I say to somebody, can you show me a better way of receiving the ball in that position? That's kind of guiding them towards the right answer. And I did similar with you as well, didn't I, young man? I said, if the pressure is coming from this direction, okay, can you show me a better place where you could have your first touch? You already knew the answer straight away because you showed me with your hand, didn't you? Yeah. All right. So it's dripping in some different coaching styles as well. So they don't always have to be challenges. They can be a reaction to something you've observed. All right. For me, it's good practice to think about challenging teams and groups and individuals at times with almost the theme or the objective of your session, like some of the key points. So get them to think about some of the things they need to do. So for instance, the red team, I asked them to think about the best shape they could adopt. In that last session, what's the best shape they could think about adopting to be able to be successful in that 4v4 in the middle? And they went for a diamond shape without me prompting it. That would have been my shape of choice if I'd have gone in there and told them. But they came up with it. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Now sometimes the kids will come up with a shape that won't be what you think, that won't be what you had in mind. How do you manage that?
I would probably let the session go and then see if it works out and then try and explain to them how it didn't work out if that was fine.
Exactly right. What's wrong with that? Fine. Absolutely fine. Because you're the coach, obviously you're the one allegedly with all the knowledge, but there's more than one way to skin a cat, and you'd be surprised what those kids know. You'd be surprised. Okay? What other little team objectives or little challenges did I set you as groups? Non-bibs. What one did I give you?
Two touch. You told us to take 2 touches.
If you could.
Yeah.
Yeah? To improve what?
The execution of the next thing we did.
Right, okay. So where I'd identified that your passing wasn't great, I'm thinking, have a touch, think about your next pass with a little bit more quality. Okay? Did it work for you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. For 30 seconds it did. That goes towards the end of the session.
What it needs, isn't it?
What about the Reds? James, what other little challenge did I give you?
Not stand still for 3 seconds.
Right, okay. So why am I saying that? What's one of my objectives in my mind? One of my technical points I want to bring out for the session, for that 4v4? Movement of players, rotation. Yeah, I could have gone in there and I could have said, right, when the ball's there with that end player and you're here, can you two rotate? And I could have actually physically shown you what I meant by movement. But by giving you a little challenge like that, makes you think straight away, well, I can't stand still, so I've got to move. And maybe, just maybe, the kids or yourselves will be able to work it out for yourself. All right? Now, that's not to say that you can't intervene with a comment, okay, or a bit of verbal instruction. could work for those that are good listeners and can understand, depending on how you know, what your terminology is like. There's no reason why, and I think I did one superb demonstration down to the left. Joe Hartway, remember? No reason why you can't do demonstrations as a coach, go in and show them, create a picture. Alright, nice little saying that I've been brought up with really the last 20 years, is that a picture paints 1,000 words. So if you can get somebody who's striving ahead, okay, in your group, that could create a picture of what you're trying to get your players to achieve, get them to show. And one thing I found working with young kids, and you'll all experience this, is that they'll all put their hand up and offer. If you're asking them, if you know, go to a group of 8-year-olds and say, you can show me a Croydon turn, you'll have 100 hands to choose from, because they'll all want to show and put themselves in the limelight, or most of them will. Alright? Just in terms of player potential, I guess my main angle on that was really looking at pitching the sessions at the age groups that they were at. So the goalkeeper one is very, very much could be a warm-up, could be an arrival activity for a very young group of players, where you have player rotation, position rotation. Okay, the next session up, there was much more decision making involved, wasn't there? Okay, do you remember that?
Yeah.
And what worked really well early doors with you two in the middle was, without coaching you, suggesting something to you when one of your players was looking to drive out of their zone. Okay, you straight away you got it. Would the kids be able to do that, do you think? Would they be able to work that out?
Possibly.
Yeah? Like, what would you do if they couldn't?
Bit of guided discovery, so ask them where they would move.
Yeah.
And then get them to tell you what that, like, look at the scene in front of them and tell us what that's created.
Right.
If it's created space, then that makes
Okay, so sometimes when we give players a challenge, or we ask them a question, and they don't always get the right answer, that might extend the length and time of our intervention, because we may then need to go in and show them. Do you see what I mean? Okay, we might have to play a bit of chess, or we may have to make a run ourselves and show, look, me making that run, look where it's dragged the defender, and look where the space is, for example. Alright? How long were my interventions? Last little bit, before I let you have a break. How long were they?
A minute at a time.
About a minute at a time. That's, you know, no, you don't want to spend too long stopping the game or in there. Okay? In the last game, it was welcome relief, because it was very, very, very high in the physical corner. And you need to be mindful of that as a coach. Sometimes the interventions come along at a really good time, and that's a really good time to drip your information in. When I was working with the Gills boys, the under-18s, certainly during pre-season, it would be that during those 1 minute rest periods, that would be my time to drip my information into the players, whether it be one-to-one or whether it be as a group. And then right back on the clock, back on the whistle, off they go. So because there was a different outcome for me with that, it was about having that physical demand. Do you know what I mean? Alright? But we mentioned earlier on about when you intervene and how you intervene and how you communicate with your players and the timing of it. Okay? And certainly in my group it came up in the morning session, do you remember? I think it was your session, James, where we said you need to pick the right time, okay, to get your information across to the players. So I thought, maybe I'm not, I don't know, you tell me, but I think my interventions were very much when the play was stopped, when the players were able to listen, when the players were able to understand what I was coming on. Very rarely did I shout too much from the side or try and get them to do things with me verbally shouting it on. Would that be right or not? I tend to stop it, didn't I? Okay, any questions? Would you be happy going away next week and practicing some different types of interventions like that with your players? Yeah? Cool. Okay. Right, break then for 10 minutes, okay? And then we'll get cracking, if that's all right.
Tea. Yeah, please.
Chill, relax. Worked hard.
Player potential.
Oh, this is something. Do you not? Are you like boys of 10 people? Wasting away? It's got potential on there.
5 minutes, you get me those. It's got it.
Where do you live in, Mark?
Seafood, just the other side. Yeah, on the coast. That's all right. Sit down.
Yeah, this is it. So what about the league changes? Yeah, that's right.
Terrible performance last night from Tottenham.
5,000 fans they paid them.
Right, just chill out, guys. It'll be 10 minutes. That's all right. Makes me look even more handsome. Right, so we're just going to take a few slides now with regard to player potential. And this is something that's that I've had actually quite a fair bit of experience in talking about, something I've come across obviously in my role as Academy Manager at Gillingham. So certainly at the elite end, some of what we're going to talk about now I have had experience of. It's something definitely that we need to start to be mindful of. So, outcomes for this. Explain how opportunity and experience has an effect on player potential, and hopefully it will give examples of why and how age, gender, maturity and experience may impact on coaching practice. Alright guys? So, first little slide, just have an opportunity to glance at that.
Darren, we just need to.
They could be 4 players in your group. Okay? So you could have someone with a sporting age, okay, perhaps maybe 4 years less than somebody's biological age. So what we're trying to say to you is that as players start to develop and grow, okay, they have different physiological traits to do with their age and their development, their makeup, their DNA, whatever you want to call it, that makes it difficult for you to coach a group. Alright? How many of you have got, if you think about your group that you work with now, how many of you could line them up in a line from small to big and there'd be quite, a significant difference from one end to the other? What age groups are you guys working with?
So we're under Thames, bought my new kit.
Right.
They fit perfectly on some, they drown the others.
Drown the
Just
others,
goes to show
okay,
you
cool. What about the older boys?
It gets worse, doesn't it? At 13 suddenly it's just...
13, yeah, you get Land of the Giants and then maybe not yet. Okay.
Where I'm graduating from school to order half the kits in a large, half in a medium. Then we just give the medium kits to the smaller kids. Because even though I'm in coaching year 8, so sort of mid to teenage years.
Yeah.
Getting towards the start of it. There got some big lads in there, got some tiny lads in there.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to say mine.
So, sporting age as well is around how long that person has had experiences of sport or the game. Okay? So, generally if they're old birthdays, what is the age band? Is it September through to August for the teams?
It's September.
So it's the same as what is in a professional game. So if you get a September or October birthday, you may find they've actually had more experience of playing sport because they may already have been able to, more physically able to. Relative ages, could be depending on their age bandings. Do you know the birthdays of your players?
Yeah.
Have you actually sat through and worked out the birthdays?
Yeah.
Have you looked at the birthdays and then related that to their performance?
Yeah.
Is there any observations? Anyone want to share some experiences on that end?
Yeah, I deliberately didn't do it. I ranked my players a couple of years ago in terms of where I thought they were in performance, and then I looked at their birth dates, and then there was a strong correlation between performance and their birth dates. basically it was the stronger performing players tended to be the older ones, but it was a very strong correlation pre-Christmas tended to be the better players, but they also tended to be the bigger players.
Yeah.
Because they were, this is when I think that when they were about 10, because they were basically probably 10% older than the other kids, basically.
Yeah.
10% bigger.
My son Josh got into Chelsea's academy when he was 8. And he got in there under 19. And he was born on August the 21st. If he'd have been born 9 days, I didn't plan it right. If he'd have been born 9 days later, he would have been probably one of the top players in the year below. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You're saying that we've got one player in my other squads, and he's playing up a year, he's done for 2 years, and you don't look out of place.
No.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes, I mean, I'll show you a slide in a minute, which was kind of like empowers that thought. But when they're at an age where they could be potentially nearly a year younger than their teammate or the opponent they're playing against, it does make a difference. I mean, I can remember dropping him off to school. I mean, bless him, he had to start school at 4 because we lived out in the country. He had to start school, and he was 4 and so many days old when he started in September. He looked too young to go to school. Do you know what I mean? Didn't have a January start. You know, some schools have January starts, don't they? They didn't have that. And he struggled academically as well. Because he was in a class with boys that had another 9-10 months in nursery schools, like extra to develop. So he struggled a little bit with that because we miss his bitch. I'm only joking. She's a bright one, isn't she? Okay. Right, so 5 minutes in your groups, just answer that question. What determines the stage players get to? What determines the stage players get to? So if they're the stages, beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, what is it that gets them to those respective levels? Just have a little chat amongst yourselves. What is it? Focus on football.
Within each team, no matter how you always
Yeah, I'm doing on my age group because that they've already got sponsor for that. They're on the base. Nearly finish off. Yeah.
Football. So what makes them become? What makes them an intermediate? What makes them an advanced footballer? What makes them an expert? What needs to happen to them? Okay. So think about opportunity. Think about experiences. Think about those things.
Instead of just doing it it could be like when the person comes in, coach themselves.
Exceptional.
you never get that
exposure.
Yeah.
The right environment, the right
Okay, so if I can just bring you back round, boys, well done, and girls. Sorry, Katie, forgive me. So obviously, if these are the stages of development of a player, of a young player, okay, going through the different phases, okay, what is it that helps them go on to each stage? If we're saying everyone starts at the level. They move on to intermediate, then advanced, and then on to expert. What needs to happen for that player to achieve that? Anyone got any ideas? Yes, young man.
The amount of time they spend playing.
100%. So how much time do they spend practicing? Just on that. They reckon swimmers and other like gymnasts, that there's there's 10,000 hours floating around in someone's lifetime of practice. They reckon that's the average figure that somebody puts in to become an expert. 10,000 hours. Do we achieve that with our footballers? An hour a week, hours training, hours game.
So you won't fit
2 hours a week. Won't get anywhere near 10,000 hours.
Less now.
Sorry?
It's probably less now, whereas when we grew up, you could spend, you'd play all the time, wouldn't you? But unfortunately, our kids can't go out and play down the park no more like
Right.
they used to.
You make a very valid point, James. So, I mean, at the moment, we have more structured football going on than ever before. Okay, more structured football. When I go back to when I was 10, 11, there weren't any centres of excellence, there weren't any academies, there were teams. You went along to that team, the dad took the training, not necessarily a qualified coach, you train and then you play at the weekend. And that was it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really get any structure, proper coaching until I went to Charlton as a 14-year-old. And I got picked up through the county schools set up for that. Okay, so I actually question how much better I would have been as a player if I'd have had exposure to it at a very young age. But I did. I did have exposure to football, but it was down the rec with my mates. And we used to have headers and volleys, or what they used to call it, World Cup Willie or whatever we used to play. Do you know what I mean? So it was those environments that we learned the skills of the game. We weren't practicing with a coach. That was us as players. We worked out the rules, we worked out the game, we worked out how long we played for. Quite often it was until we were knackered, or it was getting dark, we could walk home, or the dog punching the ball. One of them reasons. Do you know what I mean? But that's how we developed at a young age back then. Okay, so time is, 100%. Anything else? Environment. Okay? Environment that you train in. I mean, we've all enjoyed the sessions out there today, both the ones this morning and this afternoon, or hopefully the ones this afternoon, but the ones this morning certainly. Okay? And having that environment now attached to this, for me, just ramps this whole learning experience up for you guys, being able to go out there and enjoy your sessions. Would you agree with that or not? Yeah. So, the more positive learning environments we can create for young players, hopefully, that should help and determine where the young players get to. But it isn't just about the facilities, it's about the whole environment you create holistically as well. The quality of the coach or the facilitator. Okay? The quality of the support mechanisms in place, the philosophies that you're all starting to understand about now. What else?
I think definitely going from the beginning to intermediate, the players have an interest.
An interest? Yeah, they've got to have a desire.
Yeah.
So it's got to be about the person, about the player, which I think is mentioned in the England DNA. It's right in the middle there of the FA4 corner model. The player is key, and tapping into that psychological and social corner to develop the person is really important. I agree. Yes, James.
I've been trying to get mine with exposure of football, like actually just watching it on the TV, because you can pick up a lot of good habits by just watching football.
Yeah,
I've got
100%
one
agree.
player who's, unfortunately, his parents haven't got Sky, so he says he can't watch it. But I can see a difference with him and someone, because he has to come to me to learn, whereas some of the others are being self-taught by watching professional players. So I think like, taking in all that kind of secondary information in is a massive tool for them to learn.
Brilliant. What else?
One thing we touched on in the group was the family background. So if you come from a family where they're football mad, everyone loves football, then you're going to just go into that straight away. I think one of the guys mentioned that they've got a really good player in their team, but mum and dad never been to football match before.
Yeah.
Never followed football until he.
That also links into parental support. Yeah, for sure. You know, I worked at Palace, and when I was at Palace, most of the kids up there made their own rate of training, even if they were 8. You know, I'm talking about some of the, you know, some of the young kids like coming out of, well, you know, I mean, most London towns intermingled, but certainly around the Norwood area, they just used to jump on a bus, they jump on the tram, they jump on whatever it would take to get into the National Sports Centre in Crystal Palace, and they'd go on their own because it was what they were used to doing. Do you know what I mean? And I used to pull my hair out, saying, how can that mum let that young lad jump on the bus at that age, at that, you know, that time of night, and this time of the year, 5 o'clock, it's dark, isn't it? And I could never work that out. Trying to make a rule to say the parents had to physically drop them off. Well, that caused a problem for some those families because they didn't drive. They didn't have the opportunity to. They had other kids doing other things in other places. So if they, you know, it became a problem for them as a family to provide the opportunity for that young person. Do you know what I mean? The kids didn't care. They were quite happy jumping on the bike because that's what they were used to doing. That was their way of getting around. I got a young lad who played for me last night, left back, done great, 18 years of age, got let go by Palace, lives in Finchley. You know, I had to drive him all the way to North Greenwich Station last night. Don't drive, got no money. So what I'm saying to you is, family background is crucial. Think about, because what that does, it creates opportunity for the player. Imagine those that haven't got that family support, might be from a financial point of view or even a care point of view. And I'm not criticising families that can't afford it, but sometimes that affects their ability to be able to compete and take part. Do you know what I'm saying? Can be, you know, people say, oh, you know, we need to go and get a player from the ghetto or whatever because they're hungry for it. Yeah, maybe so. But you then got to invest your time and energy in supporting that young person to be able to maximise their opportunity. And what I'm saying to you is some kids aren't lucky enough to have the support from their parents, from their background, to be able to achieve the top of that hexagon because they haven't got that family support. Yes? It might not be their fault.
I think it's important when you're looking at urban and rural areas as well, because in rural areas you just don't have those public transport links.
No, exactly.
So it's, I mean, for me, when I had started coaching, I think it was 17, 18, coaching was...
Well, you're about 230 years old, then.
But you know Cliff Woods, don't you?
Cliff Woods, yes I do, yeah.
And training was up in Cliff.
How old's he now? Sorry, I'm winding you up.
So, I've got to walk half an hour, 40 minutes to get to training. But then it's the same for most of the lads. If they live in Street down south, that's a 10, 15, 20 minute drive.
So would opportunity be one of the things that you would consider, you know, that would determine whether you got the chance to be an expert, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I think...
You need to have access to the training. I mean, you take another sport. You take a sport where it would be expensive to take part. I don't know, skiing, for example.
Tennis.
Anything that costs money, okay, that rules out a lot of people because they have to be able to afford to be able to buy the equipment. And you're right, sometimes it's, do you know what, sometimes it's just about luck. Do you know what I mean? Alright, luck of the draw where you're born, in what level of society you're born. But, you know, I think back to my lad, my eldest, he's playing down at Eastbourne Borough now, so he's getting himself back on the feet, but, you know, the world at his feet. Made his debut for Gillingham both times, did really well in the games and got injured not soon after, so lost his place. He's had to have 2 knee operations, finally now his knee's okay, but it's always got in the back of his mind, he's always got like, what if I hadn't got injured? Could I have gone on? I mean, I'll be honest, and that's been not being a critical dad, just being a pragmatic dad, is no one knows whether he would have been able to have survived at that level, whether he could have kicked on or not. He might have dropped out and fallen away and might have ended up playing where he's playing now. But his success, or his feeling of success, is actually getting back on the pitch after what he's been through with his injuries. Okay? But bad luck can sometimes mean that you don't get up the top there. An injury is certainly something that is a concern.
Do you say schools are important? Because private schools have a lot more access and a lot more time dedicated to sport as well.
Yeah, they do. I think sometimes there's a lot of social factors that come into it for me. Schools, You see, when you talk about private schools, football generally ain't one of the strongest sports. But if I think about one of the biggest private schools next to Palace, which was Whitgift, it's a huge school. Victor Moses went there, he's playing for Chelsea at the moment. But it's only started becoming a really big football school since he went on to bigger and better things, you know what I'm saying? It was a rugby school, rugby and hockey. Used to have full-time professional rugby coaches in there working. And it's only recently they've realised the power of football at a private school.
Because
But I don't know.
Ramsgate got a full-time, you can get a scholarship now in Ramsgate at a private school.
Which one?
Lawrence and Lawrence.
St Lawrence, yeah, but you've got to pay.
Then where my wife works at private school, all the parents are now saying that they're not happy with the standard. They want to bring in a football coach full time to do the football teams up there. It's becoming a lot more. So if you're at one of these,
I had a meeting with Dover College recently. It's a similar type of school to St Lawrence down in Dover. And they've only got 200 odd pupils, and they're looking to try and develop sports scholarships, and they want to get football involved down there. So don't get me wrong, it is growing, but historically, the major sports that have gone on at public schools have been rugby.
At the private school in Ashford, it's rugby and hockey.
Yeah, rugby, hockey. That's the main thing. But it's growing. Like the Whitgift school I talked to you about, the one that Victor Moses was in, that's now starting to grow the football provision as well. So, but that's a huge school. So some of the key factors then, just to consolidate that. We talk about environment, okay. We talk about obviously the person that determines where they get to. We talk about the opportunity available to that player, okay. And we talk about then maybe having a bit of luck, being in the right place at the right time. I'll tell you now, that's worked for a lot of players.
It's about who you know.
Not what you know, it's who you know. Honestly, that's worked for a lot of players.
You've got the work ethic, haven't you? That's above all else. No matter how much ability you have.
Yeah, you can. That four-corner model picture up there, you can throw out the window without the player being in the middle.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got the desire to want to be self-propelling, then you won't make it.
We probably all know, if you went around the room, if you think back to when you were at school, when I was at school, I played with some fabulous players that just got to 15, 16, just decided they didn't want to play.
Yeah.
Couldn't be asked. Didn't want to try.
A lot of the younger players now just want the money.
Yeah.
As well, they look at what all the professional players have got driving around these big fancy shiny cars.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily know the meaning behind football.
No.
They just see the money and they think that's what I want to do.
See, Ronaldo is interesting, isn't it? Because we all look at Ronaldo, we have a perception of him. You know, we know he earns fortunes. We know he's good looking, an absolute Adonis and all the rest of it, and we're all jealous of him. But if you actually learn about him, he is one of the most self-propelling individuals on the planet. The sacrifices he makes to keep him at the very, very top of his game, he really isn't interested in money. His motivation is to be the best player in the world.
He moved to live on his own at 14, didn't he?
Yeah.
He moved from his hometown to Porto, but it was at 14 without his mum.
Yeah. But he's motivated by the success he brings, I think. And the money will come. The money will come.
Another good one's Tim Howard. If you read his book,
Tim Howard.
He was living off canned beans for like 3 years of his life.
I can buy him a pair of razors as well now. The beard he's got. Okay, right, so I think that's what we were saying. We're just talking about, you mentioned motivation and drive. We look at ability, and we look at a little bit of luck. I played a game with my Hastings team a couple of weeks ago against a team called Three Bridges. They beat us. I had 6 points all season. It was in a cup match, so I played a few of my youngsters. And lo and behold, 2 of the players that I worked with at Palace, aged 15, they were in my team, with Wilf Zaha, Jonathan Williams, all gone on to be, much bigger and better things. These 2, for me at the time, were better players. One was named Kieran Djali, and the other was named Hakeem Adelakan. All right, both of them playing basement level non-league, which is where I managed, to be honest, Ryman South. Okay, both of them looked overweight, and my first reaction when I saw them was, what on earth has happened to them? somewhere in that cog of development, something has not quite clicked. What do you think it is?
Luck with injury, maybe.
Could be.
Motivation.
Could be.
Could have found a career outside of football that they take.
But unfortunately, if one of the cogs stops turning,
The whole thing stops.
the whole thing stops, doesn't it? Okay, so my guess is, and knowing them, because I'll work with them, so knowing them, my guess is it was the motivation and drive cog that stopped working for them. Because both of them were guaranteed 2-year scholar and 2-year pro. They had a pre-contract agreement. The club, for me, made a mistake in doing that. I think those that get guaranteed a pro contract, I don't think they focus properly when they're going through their apprenticeship.
But what age
I think you got to keep them hungry for me.
Yeah. What age did the club guarantee them that?
Sorry?
What age did they get?
Their agents worked that out. They both had agents as well, by the way.
What age were they whenever they were?
15.
It's so young.
Yeah, 15. Premier League club. Yeah, we can afford to do it. There's 2 and 2 on the table. Yeah, brilliant. Wrapped up.
What they should have done is obviously given kit, because obviously I presume they're already on a scholarship.
Yeah.
And then in the back of the heads, there's sort of whoever's sorting it out knows they're going to get the contract, but if you don't tell them, they're still going to be hungry and motivated.
I used to beat them with a stick, verbally, about their attitude and their laziness on the pitch and all this sort of stuff. And they were really sheepish when they come over to me, because I don't think they wanted me to say, "Oh, well, you two have ended up. Told you that's what could happen to you." Do you know what I mean? Yes, I went.
Darren, don't you find, because when I was involved with them by myself, that a lot more players now are in that, so have been dropping down, and all their motivation now is just collecting money.
Yeah, for sure. Don't get me wrong. I've got a decent budget at Hastings, and the players I've got have all played at a high level. But then you've got to pay the money to get those players. So, and I think the standard of non-league football is improving massively because of what's happening at the top. You've got more foreign players coming in, kids are cascading down, and you've got some very, very good players playing in our division now. If you watched the game last night, there was 9 ex-professionals on the pitch at our level. 5 for Greenwich Borough and 4 for mine.
What level is it that you're on?
Ryman South. Ryman South. So I've got Lenny Pidgley and Steve Watt, both ex-Chelsea Champions League squad members when they won the Champions League. And Greenwich, you've got Gary Alexander, ex-Millwall. Peter Sweeney, ex-Millwall. They've got a lot of ex-pros in their team as well. Lewis Spence, Crystal Palace. So anyway, but my point is that in order for us to get to expert level, so many things need to go our way. Sometimes we can drive them and we can affect them, and unfortunately luck is something that befalls us. Like injury can be just something that happens to you, and you have to get around it and you have to deal with it. Okay, so you just spend 5 minutes just talking about seeing if you can answer those questions. What could be some of the traits of your players that makes them talented as learners? Okay. What could be the possible effects of early specialisation in football or playing position? What do we mean by that?
They choose a position really early, or a coach chooses.
Or coach chooses a position really early. Yeah.
So
So what could be the effects of that? Okay. And how can we best deal with early and late developers? I'll talk a little bit more in a minute about the relative age effect. But how can you best deal with early and late developers? So just spend a couple of minutes on each question. Okay, and I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I've been well. I've been I feel better today. Yeah. I didn't go into work yesterday, I stayed at home every day, just had to chill out. And then obviously went to football. But I drive for more, talk about young players, talk about this opportunity I've got this young lad through an agent. His name's James, driving all the way from Hastings up to North Reading Station last night, dropping off so we can get on the tube home. Either that or he's staying away. I was staying out Hastings in half an hour. So the things you do for these young kids, you know what I mean? And, you look at him and think, what opportunity does he have? Because he doesn't want to do you know what I mean? I was thinking of stories about the kids, he used to tell me so much in national sports, pitched out like this, on buses, on public transport, without their parents. Like, dressed in their parents, 8 years of age, telling them about coming train with them. I was saying about my day, you know, he still feels that for now, but you know, he's a good lad, he's a self-developer, you know, he's got a great attitude, he's been brought up right, so he'll get over it. But getting injured for the amount of time he was out, reminded him of that question that he's got hanging around his now, could I be going to avoid it, he was doing this thing. Yeah, just bigger now. And some of everyone else is better working, don't know the answer to it. You speak to Hesse, he's like, yeah, you know, I think he could have done it. I'm not so sure. And then on his critical dad. But, you know, there's other people that, really get another opportunity, that's the thing. And unfortunately for him, he's seen Jake stride on, he's seen Bradley back stride on, not Jake's Anderson, but they're cousins, they're born 5 months apart, you know what I mean? So he's seen them go on and you know, make it, and he's had to deal with what he's had to do. So you can't help but feel sorry for him.
Right, okay. Quite a cost issue now. Let's split these questions up a little bit. So I'm sure most of you have focused on, let me guess, probably question 2, all right? Yeah. Okay, so what could be some of the traits of your players that makes them talented as learners? Traits, learners. What makes a good learner? Listening skills. Behaviour. Desire. Focus. Vocalisation.
You're asking lots of questions. They're basically asking stuff back. But you're asking a question about had we done that better. They're the kid with a hand up going, you know.
Okay, so that they're like a sponge.
Okay.
Good. Anything else?
Growth mindset.
Yeah. So the right mindset, growth mindset. Yeah. What would you notice about them on the pitch? If they're talented learners, what would you notice about them?
They put into action. I think you coach them.
Right. Well, the things you coach them, or what might you notice about them as players?
Find their own solution.
They might actually find their own solutions. And it might be on the back of something you've said to them. So it might be led by you or driven by you, but actually some of the best learners will be the ones that work it out for themselves. Why am I saying that? I'm kind of watering down the importance of you as coaches, aren't I? But I'm not really, because it's whether you can recognise which ones need a bit more support, and they're generally the ones that are striding ahead, the ones that are at the top of that continuum that you need to keep challenging. So that's why you coach them ones, or you support those ones slightly differently than the ones that aren't such talented learners. So if there's players in there that aren't quite getting it, you might need to spend a bit more time with them. That's what we used to use our assistant coaches. Someone mentioned it to me this morning when you had your assistants out there, didn't you? And for the most part, they were there supporting and not just on the side of the pitch. What we used to do at Gills is we used to have an assistant coach that would take individuals out, okay, or pairs, or even threes, and they'd work with them on, you know, maybe a little bit of repetition stuff, maybe a little constant practice, just on developing one or two areas, maybe an individual learning objective we'd identify for them, might be weaker foot, and they just work on that person while the other practice goes on. Great way to use an assistant coach. Yeah? So you're helping to, you know, and it's not something you do every week. You don't make it obvious to that young player that, you know, it's something because he's trying to catch up. It's just a thing you rotate well. Because even the ones at the top, even the ones at the top of your group, the ones that are striving forwards and ahead, okay, you can even do work with those on a one-to-one basis. For me, the talented learners are the ones that will try things, not worry about making mistakes, always ask questions, be attentive, and work on things away from the football club. So if you set little tasks, homework tasks, they'll do them. They'll do them and they'll come back to you and they'll show you. I do that with our academy sometimes on a Friday. I'll get my old football boots out and I'll dust myself down and I'll show them a few little tricks that I've got. Because I've got a few, I'll have to show them next time. Alright, show them a few little tricks, and the ones that come back, having spent hours in the garden, or probably in the lounge, practicing them, that's all they want to do. Come, no, watch this, I've got it, I can do it. They're the ones that are good learners, because they're willing to work at it as well. We mentioned earlier on, you know, what gets someone to expert level, it's the practice as well, the amount of practice.
One thing that I've noticed a lot, and I think James touched on it earlier with watching the players on TV, is going online and watching your favourite player. I've got a lot of kids that are like, oh yeah, I want to be like Ronaldo, Neymar, all that sort of stuff. And then they go home, exactly, yeah, YouTube. They go home and they watch the videos of them, and then you see them coming into training, just while they're setting it up, just trying the tricks and that.
Yeah.
You can see sometimes they're trying to games.
Yeah, they will, they'll emulate, won't they? They'll try. That's why having role models is really good. Really good. Yeah. I'm a little bit like that with my management career. I've watched Mike Bassett like 3 or 4 times now. Okay, what could be the possible effects of early specialisation in football or a playing position? What could be the positive effects? Any positive effects of early specialisation, you think?
They're going to know where their sort of strengths are. So if they're a striker, they're going to be focusing on getting the ball in the back of the net, for example, moving beyond the defender, not getting caught in the offside trap. But then they're going to focus on that, and then to flip it on the negative, they're not going to focus perhaps on defending when it might be needed in a game to potentially
One
do
thing
that.
we touched on is that they could get bored of sport.
Right.
If they, from 6 years old and they start playing football, just playing striker,
yeah,
after 6 years, at that sort of age, they're just going to lose motivation and not want to play.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question, and I take on board what you're saying. I think that at some stage you've got to look at your toolbox. You've got to look at what you've got in your locker in all the 4 corners, and you've got to come up with all the attributes that we took up there, that we got there for the dream player. What makes me a right back? So if you think about being a right back and what the attributes are for a right back in possession, what are they? Let's rattle them off.
Comfortable on the ball.
Comfortable on the ball. Good
Speedy.
first touch.
Speedy, good passing, and obviously.
Okay, technical first. So good passing, range of passing. Got to be able to play long into space and accurately into feet. Do you agree with that? Yeah. What else have you got to be able to do?
Responsibility.
Got to take responsibility.
Defending.
Yeah, defensively, 1v1. Got to be a good 1v1 defender. Got to be able to stop crosses. Got to be able to defend the far post. Okay. Physical cornering. What we got to be as a right back these days, physically. Athletic, strong, quick.
Attacking and defensive minded as well.
Attacking and defensive minded. Be able to get up and down.
You're essentially a right winger.
You're essentially a right winger.
Right wing back.
Could be a right wing back. Wow. Goodness me, we'll have a lot on our locker to be a right back, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, what about when we get up the other end then? We've run all the way forwards. What have we got to be good at down there? On the ball. Crossing. Crossing.
Shooting, maybe.
Maybe shooting. Maybe 1v1, attacking as well.
Cutting on your left foot.
Cutting on your left foot. Yeah. So all of a sudden, when you start thinking about all of the attributes you need, you have to have a good, long, hard look at your toolbox to decide, hang on a minute, that's the position I've got playing. Okay, I've got a young player, Sam Crutwell, down at Hastings. He's played nearly every position except up front at the moment. He's left footer, he's played central midfield, he's played right back, he's played left back, left side centre back, holding midfield, and I still can't work out what his best position is. Andy Crofts, who's made a career out of the game, Welsh international. To this day, there'll be managers that have worked with him still don't know what his best position is, whether he's a midfielder or a forward or a number 10. No one really knows. Sometimes you can't always fit the jigsaw puzzle bit in the empty space, and it can be a little bit square pegs round holes. So for me, what could be the possible effects of early specialisation is you could lose out on the potential for conversion a little bit later on if you just focus and you place them in that slot so early. Why do we, for instance, what do you notice about at a young age? What do you notice about centre backs? Let's say, who's got an under 18? Put your under 18. Describe your centre back to me, James.
Comfortable on the ball.
Yeah.
Composure. Very good decision making, and very physical. Okay, so the last descriptor is a very common trait for a centre back at that age. I've got people that are taller and bigger, but they don't have. For me, the way I like to play football, one of the most important thing is the composure. Right. Okay. So yeah, he's going to play out for the back. So I get that. I'm not saying it's wrong what you've done, by the way. I'm just. I know you know what I'm going for. Saying tall lad plays at the back. Back in the day, it used to be the big lad. It used to be the lad that could kick it at the furthest, especially when the pitches were big. Okay, and it's still like traditionally we need to move away from that. How many of you rotate positions around on a regular basis with your young players? Okay. Not as much. But not as much. We try and play them in two positions. Right. Okay. So they have, because we know they know where they want to sort of play. Yeah. So a way of teasing them out of one position is to give them sort of two. So they do get the opportunity then to play out of position, but we won't put a centre back up front. We will keep it quite close so they know midfielders in defence and then probably midfielders up front and defenders in midfield. That's how we turn. Because otherwise it's a bit of a shock.
I say for myself, obviously being a fairly tall lad, I was quite tall when I was in my under 8 sort of time, and I was just stuck in defence just because of the fact that I was tall. Yeah. And then that's where I stuck until I decided to become a goalkeeper like 4 years ago. Okay. I know a lot of. Was you very mobile? Not really. No. No, I was just tall. So that happened. Exactly the same thing happened to my son. Got to the age of 12, 13, realised actually he couldn't cope with any pace at all that he was playing against. Decent on the ball. He's now a keeper. Kicks it miles. There are benefits, you see, of being an outfield player and converting to be a goalkeeper. Because obviously, as you know, 9 touches out of 10 now for a goalkeeper are with their feet in the game, with the new rules, back pass rule, etc. So, all I would say to you is, and it's very, very difficult for me to stand up here and preach to you that there are no positives about early specialisation, because it really depends on the numbers you have available, the makeup of your group, you knowing your players, okay, and being able to then make choices over when best can they rotate around their positions. One thing I would say though, it's not actually a bad thing to get a player to experience a position that links quite closely to where he normally plays. So if it's centre back, go and play in central midfield. Yeah, we do, yeah. If you do that, that's great. Because what it does then is it promotes thought processes for him to think, well, when that centre back gets the ball, okay, if I was him, I'd want an option to pass to. So I'm going to move to open up the door for a pass. You see what I mean? So you might actually get him thinking about doing what he wants midfield players to do when he plays centre back. Do you understand what I'm saying, James? My forward is left footed. I quite often play him at left mid. Right. And since we've mixed left mid and forward up, he's probably scored more goals because he's now anticipating
where that midfielder is going to be putting the ball in.
Right.
So he's learning from, he knows where to put the ball because he knows as a striker that's where I would want the ball, and he also knows, you know, there's a bit of patch learning going on by playing the two roles, but I do think that rotating it full circle possibly is not always going to work. I think, like you say, the two, if you do swap them, they need to be quite closely linked, because otherwise it's too much of a, you can make him feel isolated by putting him in a position that he's not familiar with.
But the point I'm trying to make, right, is if we were to look at all the attributes for each position on the pitch and list them in possession, out of possession, psychological, okay, and physical, all the four corner attributes of what you'd like for a full back, centre back, left back. It's a really good exercise to do, okay. At the age of 8, when are we able to make a decision over who fits which position best? That's my question. How are we able to do that?
They do it themselves. They find themselves in a position.
At 8 years of age, what's going to happen when they're 7, 8 years older, 15 years of age? What might change?
Their mindset. They might want to be.
Their mindset. What else might change? Their physical development. What else changes?
Football development.
Their football development. Okay. Their attitudes, their ability to move, so that you know that their physical attributes. Everything could change. So I think we've got to be really careful about specialisation at too young an age, because some of the things that you cannot have a say in. Mother Nature will make a decision for you. Like, I'm not being funny, you could pick a goalkeeper, put him in goal now. He could be absolutely different class, but be no taller than 5'5" when he gets to 15. How many, you know, if he's going to get to elite level, he's got to be 6'1", 6'2". And that's what you'll find in pro clubs. Yes, sorry, James.
So, surely that's just you as a coach being flexible. So as they come to you and they ask you, if they might, like for instance, my son wants to play centre back. That's all he's interested in. Loves it.
That's fine.
But then when he comes to me and he says, "Can I have a go at midfield today?" I say, "Of course, son."
Yeah, that's fine, and that's how you should be.
As a coach, if another child comes up to you and says, "Do you know what? I don't really fancy," you say, "But." So you just got to roll with them, really, haven't you? You've got to bounce off of what they want, and you know, give them all the options available.
So I'll just say, are you in agreement with me that the effects of early specialisation could actually hold a player back later on in years? Are you in agreement with that, or not?
A bit of both. I think if we try and put them in a position that they're not comfortable with, they could not love football because you're making them feel isolated in. They might not be comfortable with it, and you're asking them to do something that they're not completely. But I also see the benefits from it, so I think it's 50-50. And I think as a coach, you need to be intelligent in your decision making and try and promote both sides, really.
Okay. It goes back to the player, doesn't it? Understanding the player.
Yeah. Knowing your players, knowing which ones wouldn't mind going and playing out of position. Yeah.
You should force it on them. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
When you're saying out of position, let's just go back to the one this morning about the goalkeeper. Like, it's really, really hard because if you've got when we haven't got a goalie, so you say we want you in goal, no one wants to go in goal, so someone's having a go in. So straight away you're putting them out of their comfort zone. So others aren't turning up. It's quite a risk for us at the moment because they all think a still young couple get tearful. But then when you look at the other way, when we had the two keepers, which was working well for us, one would start. And then he would get his run out on pitch and we'd swap and it was working perfect. But what happened was one of those goalkeepers, who was the better of the two, was a phenomenal shot stopper, and you loved it when they had a one-on-one because they never beat him. He was really, really good at it. But he knew that he was weak out of the pitch. So he would opt out of playing because you'd be trying to bring him out there and bring him out. But he wouldn't want to do it. So where do you go? You can't force these kids, can you? You've got to try to sort of say, look, and try to build them into it. I'd like it, but you can't say to him, you're going up front and we're all going to be wanting you to get it. If you don't want to do it, he don't want to do it, does he? You can't.
Absolutely.
You'll run them straight out the door.
Yeah.
And that's what we've had, and that's where we're going. So when I sort of said we were struggling, the parents, they were saying to us at the beginning, we've got good parents, don't think they're bad. I'm not blaming them, but they're like, oh, my Harry don't play in defence. He plays on the wing or up front. You sort of think, well, where's that come from? He'll play where he's told. So we've done it with all of them, but I think the point we've got now, and what everyone's noticed is they're all kids, they're a team. We were going through a stage where we would bring one on and we'd rotate. So, because when we're doing 2 subs, 3 subs, they were falling apart, so we was like rotating, so they were all playing in the positions. But just getting back to that goalkeeper, now we haven't got him, we're losing kids because we're putting kids in. As soon as the net goes, or the ball hits them in the face or in the chest, they're out. So
do
that's
you
I'm not
play them
coming
for a whole
football.
game, or do you just play for a half?
No, we should split it between the two.
So
But we've lost, that's what I said, when one don't turn up, we haven't got a goalkeeper now.
Well,
So-
our Saturdays we play 2 games, and that's 4 goalkeepers. So on a Saturday we'll have 4 goalkeepers. So and then the next week it'll be another 4 kids. But then like on a Sunday we've got a kid that loves playing in goal, so he plays in goal on a Sunday, but not on a Saturday.
I think the point I was trying to say there is, and I'll say that it's now costing us players. You're saying, well, we haven't got goal in today, so you're all going to have to take turns. And out of that 4, one of them takes it badly. That's what I'm saying. When he sees 8, because they don't want to be in there. So this is where it gets.
But surely it's supporting that person who's playing in goal.
Yeah, you do. But when he's had 8 go past him, and he's starting to get tearful, they're still kids, aren't they? This is what I said. There are benefits, and there are not benefits. It's hard, isn't it? It's just hard. It's no in your group. No in your group.
Up to 9 years of age, I just rotated all my players all the time. And that,
yeah, but we've got them who clearly won't go in there. They're clearly saying, I'm not going in there.
Are you doing goalkeeping in your coaching?
Yeah, because I think when you're talking about players and putting them in positions, I don't want to play.
The thing is with this point, early specialisation is if you pigeonhole players too soon. You know, because you're saying to me 7 and 8 year olds are saying I'm a centre back, I'm a full back, I'm a centre midfield. How do they know? Where are they judging that from?
Where they get the most enjoyment and the most praise from normally.
Okay. So, and we were talking about it earlier, Darren, weren't we? If they fall into comfort zones, they then neglect challenge, they won't catch up with the lads. Now, I know Darren's going to touch on relative age effect and what happens to those first quarter boys at pro level. Where do they go? Because Darren's got some interesting facts about where the spread of players are in Gillingham first team.
Before we answer question 3, I'll actually talk about that first.
Because it's a case of if you're in your comfort zone and you don't take challenges on you, you don't push yourself, and you go, well, this is where I'm comfortable and this is where I do things great. The kids who are just underneath you, who are always striving and struggling, they will overtake you when they get older because they've had to continuously push. So yes, you can say there's a benefit, but the thing is, if you sell the benefits of if you rotate and try and experience and take on challenge, it's going to equip you better for later life, whether you're a footballer or not. Because, like I mentioned earlier, those kids who are like, I'm not very good, I'm going to take a challenge where I know the best player is going to kill me, or the least stable player I'm going to dominate, then where do they sit? So you have to be thinking about, well, why am I letting them...
Can I just say?
Yeah, go on.
I ran lots of teams, but at 9, and from sort of 6 to 9, we used to run a goalkeeping session every 2 weeks for the whole team. Because I agree with you, you shouldn't put someone in goal who doesn't want to play in goal, per se, but you need to give them the skills to be able to actually play in goal. So you shouldn't say, right, today you're going in goal, you've never played in goal before, you've not any experience of that. It should be part of your coaching, overall coaching.
But what was Steve's problem earlier with his own son?
Going back to school.
Going back to school, the kids digging him out saying it's his fault. Now they're having to experience what it's like to go in goal. They're going, I don't want to go in goal.
Exactly.
So the thing is, well, if you hadn't bullied so-and-so in school, we would have a goalkeeper that was happy to play in. But now you're getting you're reaping what you've sown. You've had a go at him, you're now experienced it. We haven't got players. Like I said, I think previously to this group, my colleague in East London, when his kids said, I don't want to play in goal, all right, we play with no goalkeeper. What happens then? Well, we get beat. or we high press and try not to let them anywhere near our goal. Okay, great. Let's deal with that. So the thing is, you've got to try and relax your mindset about I must have players in set positions. They're going to give you problems. What are the solutions? So if they're saying I don't want to do that, it's like, why not? What's your motivation? What do you want from it? Because if they're saying, well, I just want to kick about and have some fun, okay. Link back to philosophy. What are we doing what we're doing? Why are we doing it? Because then that underpins all the conversations you have with people. Because if your philosophy is, you know, we work hard, we learn, we respect each other. If it's we take on challenges, we stretch each other, we want to be the best we can be, then we can link it back to, well, part of that is we rotate positions and we try and take on challenge. So it's just being mindful of your philosophy again, and maybe I should have underpinned that a little bit more this morning. Sorry for jumping in there, Dad.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Thanks, Simon. Okay, so I touched on it a little bit earlier on, and this is quite interesting. I actually find this quite interesting. And I know the FA have done an awful lot of research around this, and the findings are quite powerful, to be fair, and it does raise a lot of questions. So, on this slide, they've got 3 bands where players are born, and obviously, as we all know, it starts in September, and the age band finishes in August. Already had that discussion about my lad, being born on the 21st of August. So it's just highlighting some of the size, or not. Okay, so the top graph, graph is just really looking at an equal population birth rate across England for boys. Okay, so that's showing that it's an even spread. Down below, when children choose to join in, there's a slight age bias. In other words, the ones are more confident to join in are the ones born at the higher end of the age banding in that top third. Okay, but it's still a considerable contribution from the others. But this is the most, for me, striking. So, English professional football clubs, they're all registered players, 5,000 of them. Sorry, even more than that. 8,000 of them, nearly 9,000. 57% of them are born between September and December. These are registered players at academies and centres of excellence. Or academies now, no more centres of excellence. And obviously it dwindles down. So what does that say about the talent ID and the recruitment? What does that say?
They're looking for bigger players, possibly.
Go for the bigger players? Do they go for the bigger players? Is it about size?
Not necessarily about size, but they've had more time to develop their skills within the game.
It's about how you coach players through the ages and how much attention you give to the better players at the younger ages and how the sort of players look for them.
But why do you think there is that high percentage of front loaders? Why do you think there's so many?
More exposure, more experience at playing a range of sport or whatever.
Right. Do you know, our philosophy with our scouts, probably had about 3, Jills. But I used to say to my scouts that go out and identify the most effective players for me. So who is most effective in the games? So when the scouts are out watching, okay, who do you think are generally most effective?
The older ones.
The ones that are stronger, more physically developed, okay? Because what's someone says to you, have you been effective in a game? There's various different ways you can be effective. You could be effective with your talent, your technical ability, agreed? You can be effective with your physical ability, your athleticism, your pace and your power. Yeah, you don't get knocked off the ball, or you win every header, or you win every tackle, or you win every race. You can be effective like that. Alright? Now, what the scouts haven't done is they haven't gone to these games and picked out players based on their birthdays. They've picked them on what they feel the ones are the most effective in those games at the moment. Alright? before I come back to that, I just did a little bit of research this morning while Simon was coaching you. Looked on Gillingham's website, the same months, and I looked at all the pros, 26 of them. In this group there was 9, this group 10, and that group 9. So in fact, the ones who actually made it and got to professional level, okay, so we've gone from that to actually that coming down lower than the middle one, alright, and the one at the far end, the bottom end, rising right up to the top. So what's happened? What's happened to all these kids here?
They've been caught up.
They've been caught up. Yeah, they have been caught up. Because actually, what's been happening? Think about your team, your coaching. Okay? Think about your team. You've got a group of 12 players. You've got your 4 or 5 at the top end of the quartile. You've got your middle group, say, 4 of them. And then you've got another 5, maybe at the bottom end. Okay? These are physically more well developed than others, had more experiences, probably your better players. Okay? These are therefore your strivers. Okay? The ones that are striving forward and striving ahead, potentially. Okay? Down here though, you've got your younger ones. that are 7-8 months behind these in relative age. Okay? Who's getting the most challenge within practices? Who's being challenged the most?
The younger ones.
The younger ones. So the reason these are actually turning into professionals further on down the line is actually because they are actually coping with the most challenge in their practice at a very young age, because they're playing up against players that are better, more physically able, and probably had more experience. Okay, and I'm talking relatively speaking now. Okay, because there'll be one or two of these that actually physically buck the trend. Don't get me wrong. All right. So what that I think I start to question myself now as a coach that's worked in the professional game. You know, for that to happen, and then to look at Gillingham's current professionals, and I think to myself, well, as coaches across the land, we must be doing something wrong.
Is that just
Are we doing a disservice to the ones at the top A can?
Is that just spurious of data, or is that reflected across other professional clubs?
That is reflected across. In fact, what the FA do now is they work it out in quartiles. Actually work it out in 3-month periods as opposed to 4-month. So I just did that the same as that graph there, so you can see. Yeah. Okay? But you'd actually find it would be even worse if we went to quartiles, because there's the December would move to the second quartile, and there's 4 December birthdays in Gillingham's team. So that would move a long one. And there's probably only 2 in May. So there's 7 June, July birthdays in Gill's team. 2 Augusts.
So do you think though then that those older kids should be playing a year up?
That's a strategy that potentially could solve that problem. Do you understand what I mean?
If you've got
What I'm actually saying is, even if it's playing a year up, that is one strategy, and that's one philosophy we had at Gillingham. And that, I asked a question earlier on about whether you're able to play players up. But it's actually what is in the best interest of the individual. Where are they? Where are they on that development ladder? On that, where are they in terms of, can we still challenge them? They're part of your team. How do we continue to stretch them? And it might be playing them in games a year up. Not all the time, but that might be a challenge for them. 1 week on, 1 week off, I don't know. If you could arrange that with your club. But what we've got to be really careful of is that all too often, in the early days, when we're picking a team, okay, we tend to go for them first, and these are a subs. The younger ones are the subs, the ones who aren't quite so gifted. So, what it might be worth doing, okay, so everybody gets a fair crack, is taking 3 or 4 of those, sticking them up in the age group above, so that they move up to become the participators. Do you see what I'm saying? And everybody gets a fair opportunity to play. How many of you at the older age groups, around sort of 12, 13, 14, how many of you actually pick teams to win games? Come on, be honest. Okay, you can put your hands right up. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. That's part of your philosophy. Certainly at that age. You know,
well, it's not, that's not strict. We pick the team depending on who we're playing.
Right. Oh, okay.
So
to win the game.
Yeah. We play Kent League, so if we're playing one of the weaker teams, then we'll look to give everyone more of a game. If we're playing a top team, then we're playing our best team because they're playing their best teams.
Yeah.
I generally go on the team that I play in my games. I generally go on who's performed the best in training.
Okay.
Also, I have the influence of the teacher who sort of helps run it in terms of getting to the games and that.
Yeah.
He gets feedback from the teachers, which then harms who I can pick. Because if I've got say, one of the centre mids, Tom, one of the best centre mids I've ever seen play that age group, gets the ball, moves it about. He hasn't got the best behaviour within school and getting his work every time. And half the time he can't play because the teachers might allow him to play or something as well. Which then means one of the other lads who won't necessarily get some game time gets to come in.
Yeah.
So I essentially pick my team with one hand tied behind my back because I have to do what the teacher says in order to let.
I think schools football is interesting because they've just got to win at all costs. It's just unbelievable.
I know.
Go watch the schools matches.
I used to work at school.
So
I guess the message we're trying to send out here is we need to be mindful that every single player you've got in your group, okay, could be at a certain stage of development, and one of the things that we need to think is it down to a bias because of they're older in the group? Is it down to that? And all you've got to do is be aware of it. Be aware of it because you might make a decision, and indeed it looks like many a scout has made a decision on players falsely because they're effective for different reasons, for the wrong reasons maybe, in this top end. Because it's the ones at the bottom there, they're the ones that are making it as pro. Them ones born in May and August, they're the ones that are turning out and becoming pros.
Does that mean that possibly the scouts are looking at the wrong age groups? Maybe they're looking at a bit too young, possibly they should look up.
Maybe they're picking out the wrong attributes that suggest the players are effective.
Maybe they're picking the players that are playing well rather than the players that look like they can play well.
Yeah.
And not giving them the opportunity to play.
Justin Edinburgh, manager of Gillingham, right, said to me, the boys are too small. Our boys are too small. He said they're too small and they're not going to get in my team. No chance. That's fine. Everybody's got their own opinion about what they want to build. And if you speak to a lot of even Premier League managers, athleticism's massive now. It's absolutely huge. But it can come. And I remember letting Ellis Iangelo go as a local Maidstone boy, under 16, mainly on that reason. But it wasn't just small, he couldn't get around the pitch, did not affect the game at all. He's playing regularly in Swindon's first team now. He's 6'2", an absolute monster, late developer. Missed him. So easy to do. It's so easy to do, yes.
Didn't they, one of them talent ID things the FA do, part of that, they put this picture up of this kiddie, nothing to him, really short, such and such. And they said to him, would you pick this kiddie? And they all turned around and said no. They then showed you who he is now, and it's Leo Messi.
Yeah, Lionel Messi, yeah.
Then people's perception is they're still looking from one player.
There is 100, I'm sure, that there is 1 million mistakes that have been made out there with young players. 1 million mistakes. Because it is not an exact science. As I'm saying, Mother Nature doesn't help us. Because she just cracks on her own. About, unfortunately, even with all the physiological measurements that academies do these days, they know how tall someone's going to be at the age of 9 by doing certain different anthropometric tests and goodness knows what else.
At my age group, we're told, the coaches ask us, like, if you have the opportunity to go to the gym and get in that weight training, because a lot of our lads aren't exactly the strongest on the pitch, and you could see out from the improvements from last season to this season with the team that I'm playing in, and you can see the physicality difference in terms of over the summer I've been working on it. They're winning a lot more sort of on-ball battles.
Be an interesting exercise for you to go back look at your kids' dates of birth, see if you can correlate their performance, in your opinion, with where they are on the age scale in terms of that. That'd be interesting exercise for you to do. Okay, is that one striding ahead because he's in that top end, because of his physical attributes, because of what he provides in that aspect of it? Have you got the slightly smaller player that might be one of the most technically gifted players, struggles to cope at the moment because he gets knocked off the ball really easily? Okay, they're the sort of players that sometimes you dismiss or you push away at your peril, because they can come back to haunt you. They can come back to haunt you. And like I said to you, I've seen it on many occasions where players have grown all of a sudden, and you just think to yourself, oh my God. Anyway, we've got to move on because time is ticking on. So, the educator must above all understand how to wait, to reckon all effects in the light of the future, not of the present. So what we're saying to you is, bear in mind those younger ones. Give them the opportunity to grow. With the older ones, okay, the ones that are striving ahead, the ones you like, and the ones that are ticking all the right boxes, remember they need to get stretched. Somehow. So, if players may doubt their ability, think their best is not good enough, be reckless and impatient, believe their talent belongs to someone else, stop experimenting and taking risks as they weigh up the consequences, particularly older children. And there's the wheel of fortune. Opportunity, more opportunity, experience, and so on and so forth. Just go round and round. More experiences, more opportunity. More experiences, more opportunity. Starting to go up that cog from beginner to intermediate, advanced to expert. The more you do, the more doors open. Let me just come back to these slides that we missed. So, how can you best deal with early and late developers? I think we just covered that, discussed that a little bit. Okay? The better players in your, we talked about player potential earlier on, the better players in your group, okay, how can you stretch them? Might be that they go and train with an older group on occasions, but if you can't facilitate that, you don't train on the same night, how are you going to do that in your practice? So that's a challenge for you. Okay, some of the interventions, or some of the strategies I showed you earlier on might help you with that. Give them individual challenges, make it a bit tougher for them. So, consider the effects of locking players into positions too early. Playing out of position. This was an under 15, restricted to centre back, school and club. So this is him trying to play in a different position. Too many decisions, he couldn't cope. Outside of his comfort zone. Muscles were tight. Obviously, different type of fitness demands. The actual physical demands of being a centre back and being a central midfield player are totally different. The physical demands of being a right back and a goalkeeper are totally different. That confidence was wobbly, no idea where to go, what to do. The passing was rushed and uncontrolled. Versatility, versatility has a place in your team. Think about my little Sam Crutwell I just spoke to you about. Not sure what his best position is. Bloody good player though. Bloody good player. The only thing that's missing from him making it as a pro is that middle bit and that thing there. He couldn't give a monkeys. Could not care less. Just plays football for the fun. So a little bit of slide there, just like in terms of when do you give those people wider experiences? Growth rates, Could be the one starting age 10. Could be the one starting age 14. Can be so different. We all know that. That's you know, we've got evidence of that in our groups, haven't we? So there's some of the things to consider with your early or late developers. So could you challenge one of your early developers, the ones that are striving ahead, with a different position on the pitch on occasions? So the ones that are really doing well at centre back, could you flip them out or right back or right side midfield, just to see how they get on? It's interesting because Hessie and I started doing these master classes down here. I mean, we specialise. So they're aged from 12 to 16. But we focus totally on defenders on one day, okay, midfielders the next day, and strikers the day after that, and goalkeepers. So obviously strikers and goalkeepers the same day for obvious reasons. So we actually really go into the fine technical and tactical detail in the positions for the players at that age. It's amazing how many kids sign up for 2 or more days. It's amazing how many of them come on the defenders and the midfielders. Okay. There's not many strikers and goalkeepers, but there's some midfielders that come on strikers. Yeah, and they love the intense because it's a slightly different dynamic to how I would normally coach those players. Obviously, it's very functional, very precision specific. There is a place for that type of coaching. Don't get me wrong.
Don't you think midfield and defence come in almost the same position?
There were some very similar traits, yes, defensively and going forwards.
You know, 3 at the back with wing backs, like you were saying. They were full backs, now playing in wide attacking position. You've got people like John Stones dribbling the ball out from defence. You've got Mascherano at Barcelona, who was a midfielder who plays. Obviously, Ramos was a right back, moved into a centre back.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. There are crossovers for sure, James. I totally agree with you. But I think there are certain elements of being a midfield player that you wouldn't expect your centre halves to do, and vice versa. So yeah, they all experience similar things. But John Stones, for me, carries the ball out. I'm sure he gets told off when he Cruyff turns and goodness knows what else in the wrong areas of the pitch, or even indeed tries to beat someone to get out of defence. Although that may have to happen on occasions. But for the most part, he'll bring the ball out when he's got space in front of him. I don't disagree with any of that, but even as a fullback, there's certain specific things that you work on with those players that are different to a centre-back. Just because of the amount of experiences they may have in the position they play. And we're back to there. Let me take you through to the question slide. We're 5 minutes away from... So, any questions? So just to bring that back together, let's go back to the outcome page. So we've spoken about how opportunity and experience has an effect on player potential, player development. Okay, are you in the right place at the right time? We mentioned that. Have you got the family support, the opportunity? Okay, the luck, and we spoke about my son. He's been out for 15 months. Like we spoke about, that could happen to you. And that's why we promote education at pro clubs with scholars, because there you could have that bad luck and you could fall out in the pro game. Give examples why and how age, gender, maturity and experience may impact on coaching practice. But we do cover too much around gender. So am I right in saying that girls and boys can play mixed up to under 11s? Is that right?
No, way beyond that.
Maybe 18.
Yeah, 18.
They can play football together up to 18.
I think it's
We were just talking about this and we
trying
weren't.
to bring that in up to 18.
I don't think that's allowed at the moment.
It's when
I
you're
don't think it should be.
when the
It's
girls
definitely 60.
like when the girls reach year 9, they can no longer play in sport in secondary school.
Gillingham have just entered an under 15 girls team in the boys, can't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're trying to bring it in now.
The only stipulation on it is changing rooms.
It's different physicalities. If you look at the women's game compared to the men's, it's a lot more competitive because I don't know, but I don't know how to say it. But
Yeah. Without being rude, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't want to be rude, but like it's two different styles of play.
Yeah.
The men's is very physical and very sort of.
I'm going to disagree with you on that because I was the head of the girls' centre of excellence. I was the technical director down there, and I can tell you now they are more competitive and very, very. You know, yeah, they don't mind playing against boys. In fact, it's probably the mindset the other way round. I think what the girls need to do though, because of the physical differences, and there are clearly those. I don't think there's any denial in that. Because of the physical differences, I think what the FA are looking to try to do, if they can, is get elite girl teams or girls teams playing against boys that maybe are a year younger. So it kind of balances out that physical inequality. Do you see what I mean? And I think that should be applauded. Right. That's the only difference. It is the physical. Could women play against men in a professional game? Let's be honest, probably not. So I think the physical differences would be too much. You might have different.
If you look at the England women's team and look what they've achieved in a shorter amount of time of obviously becoming professionals compared to the men's team, they've achieved a lot more than the current men's team achieved.
Yes, 100% agree.
A lot of girls now have to fight more for football than what men do.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of men teams out there or academies. Girls have to, I think, for me personally, fight more for their position in a team at an academy level.
I think attitudes are changing a really positive way for women's football. I've got to say that. And our masterclasses, you know, we've had some girls on that done absolutely fantastic. They've done really, really well. One of them, Eileen Williams, I think she was 15. She was smashing the boys left, right and centre, doing really, really well. And the boys absolutely loved it. And they loved it because she actually managed to earn their respect at the end of the day. So, because they probably looked at it and thought, you know, training with Darren and Andy Histon-Taylor, what's the girls doing on the course? But when she started playing, it was very easy for me and Andy then to say, "Oh, boys, what's going on?" Do you know what I mean? And it was great to see. So, what I'm trying to say to you is, I think that there are, so as long as physicality doesn't become an equality, so there's an issue around difference, then girls and boys should be able to play together. Okay? As they start to get older, in my opinion, that's obviously when we need to manage those differences. And by manage, I mean don't play against each other, that's fine, but make sure your under 15 girls are playing against under 13 boys maybe. Do you see what I mean? Then it's fine. And then it might be, if they're that good and they're that elite and they're that okay, then they try the next day, and it might be there is equivalence. But it would depend on the physical. For me, it's totally that physical corner that needs to be, we need to be mindful of.
In my opinion, sometimes women's game would be more entertaining to watch than men's.
Yeah.
I preferred watching the Women's World Cup over some of the Euro games this year.
Yeah.
I just think the way they played was a lot better. I just don't think the men's team knew what they were doing this year.
Did you apply for the job? Right, I'm going to try and wrap this up now because it's we've just gone 1 minute past 5. Any other questions, guys? Okay, brilliant. Well done today. Terrific day. Go home, reflect, eat plenty, come back refreshed in the morning. I think it's me first thing, Simon, isn't it?
We'll have a chat, yeah.
We'll have a chat at the end. Right, okay, no worries. Well done, everybody.
I don't think you can buy it anymore, mate.